Have you ever wondered why some people seem to navigate life with wisdom, while others stumble through constant confusion and regret? The difference isn't luck, education, or even experience. It's wisdom. And there's no better source of practical, life-changing wisdom than the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs, largely attributed to King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, is a treasure house of divine insight for daily living. Written over 3,000 years ago, these ancient truths remain as relevant today as when they were first penned. Unlike abstract philosophy, Proverbs offers concrete guidance for real-life situations: how to handle money, relationships, work, speech, and character. Solomon didn't write in theories, but in practical maxims that transform lives. Each proverb is a concentrated dose of wisdom, designed to shape your decisions, protect you from harm, and lead you toward success and peace. Whether you're facing difficult relationships, financial struggles, career decisions, or personal growth challenges, Proverbs has answers. In this study, you'll discover 41 powerful lessons that can revolutionize how you think, speak, and live. These aren't just nice sayings to memorize. They're life principles that, when applied, will transform your relationships, your character, and your future. Each lesson comes with practical steps you can implement immediately. Let's dive into this ancient wisdom that still changes lives today. First lesson: the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Proverbs 1:7 states, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." True wisdom begins with reverence for God. This isn't paralyzing fear, but deep respect and awe for His holiness and authority. When we acknowledge God as the source of all truth, we become teachable. Pride makes us unteachable, but humility opens our hearts to divine instruction. Every wise decision flows from this foundation, recognizing that God's perspective is higher than ours. Without this reverence, all our knowledge becomes foolishness. Start your pursuit of wisdom here. Humble yourself before the Creator and acknowledge His supremacy in all things. Second lesson: trust in the Lord completely. Proverbs 3:5-6 declares, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths." Complete trust means surrendering not just some areas of life, but all areas to God's guidance. Human understanding is limited and often clouded by emotion, pride, or fear. But when we trust the Lord with our whole heart, we tap into infinite wisdom. This trust means believing God is good, even when circumstances aren't clear. It means following His way, even when it's not the easiest path. As we learn to depend on His guidance instead of our flawed reasoning, we experience peace and direction beyond human capacity. Third lesson: guard your heart diligently. Proverbs 4:23 warns, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Your heart, the center of your thoughts, desires, and emotions, influences every aspect of your life. What you allow into your heart shapes your attitudes, decisions, and direction. If you fill your heart with God's truth, love, and wisdom, your life will reflect that goodness. But if you entertain bitterness, lies, or pride, it will eventually overflow into destructive behavior. Wisdom protects what is most precious. Guard what you watch, read, listen to, and think about. By protecting your heart, you protect your future, your peace, and your relationship with God. Fourth lesson: a gentle answer diffuses anger. Proverbs 15:1 teaches, "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." Words have tremendous power to either heal or harm. This proverb reveals that how we respond often matters more than what we say. A gentle response can calm tension and open doors for resolution, while harsh words escalate conflict. In our world of raised voices and quick reactions, A quiet, kind answer stands out with incredible power. Wisdom teaches us to pause, listen, and respond with grace, especially in heated moments. When we respond with gentleness, we reflect Christ's character and create opportunities for reconciliation instead of division. Fifth lesson, pride leads to destruction. Proverbs 16:18 warns, "Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall." Pride is a silent destroyer that deceives us into thinking we're self-sufficient, above correction, or better than others. But this proverb reveals that pride precedes ruin. A haughty spirit, an attitude of superiority, distances us from God and others, leading to careless decisions and eventual downfall. True wisdom walks in humility, recognizing our constant need for God's guidance and grace. When we elevate ourselves, we become blind to danger and deaf to correction. God honors the humble but resists the proud. Choosing humility daily protects us from the fall that pride inevitably brings. Sixth lesson, a good name is more valuable than riches. Proverbs 22:1 states, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold." Your reputation and character hold more value than any amount of money. While riches can be gained and lost, a good name built on integrity, honesty, and kindness has lasting impact. This proverb challenges our culture's obsession with wealth accumulation. True prosperity is being known as a person whose word can be trusted and whose actions reflect love and integrity. When others speak well of you because of your faithfulness and character, it honors God and opens doors money cannot buy. Build your reputation through consistent acts of kindness, truth, and service. Seventh lesson, walk with wise people. Proverbs 13:20 declares, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." Your associations directly influence your character and future. Surrounding yourself with wise people, those who love God and live by His principles, will make you wiser. Their example, counsel, and accountability will sharpen your character and guide your decisions. Conversely, close relationships with foolish people lead to destruction. We unconsciously absorb the attitudes, values, and habits of those we spend time with. Choose your friends and mentors intentionally. Seek relationships with people who challenge you to grow spiritually and live with integrity. Eighth lesson, commit your plans to the Lord. Proverbs 16:3 teaches, "Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established." Planning is wise, but true success comes from surrendering those plans to God's authority. When we commit our works, our projects, goals, and decisions to the Lord, He gives us clarity and direction. Our thoughts become aligned with His will, and confusion gives way to purpose. This doesn't mean being passive, but actively seeking His guidance in all we do. Divine alignment brings divine success and peace, even when things don't unfold as we expected. Before making major decisions, seek His wisdom and submit your plans to His perfect will. Ninth lesson, control your words carefully. Proverbs 18:21 declares, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." Words carry extraordinary power. They can build up or tear down, heal or destroy, inspire or discourage. This proverb teaches that our speech has life and death consequences, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. What we say matters deeply and affects not only others but ourselves. Those who understand this power use it wisely, speaking truth, encouragement, and blessing. When we speak with wisdom and kindness, we bear good fruit in our relationships and circumstances. Let your words reflect God's heart, for they reveal who you truly are and shape the world around you. 10th lesson, the wise listen to correction. Proverbs 15:5 states, "A fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent." Wisdom is demonstrated not only by knowing right from wrong, but by willingness to change when corrected. Fools reject instruction and reproof, especially from authorities like parents or mentors. In contrast, the wise value correction because they understand its purpose, to shape, refine, and protect. Accepting rebuke requires humility, but leads to growth and maturity. Even painful feedback becomes a gift when received with the right heart. God often uses others to guide and correct us. A teachable spirit is one of the clearest signs of wisdom and the pathway to continued growth. 11th lesson, wisdom is better than gold. Proverbs 16:16 declares, "How much better is it to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver." In a world obsessed with material wealth, God reminds us that wisdom far exceeds monetary value. Gold and silver provide temporary comfort, but wisdom shapes every decision, relationship, and opportunity for the rest of your life. Understanding guides you through life's complexities with clarity and purpose. This verse challenges us to shift our priorities from accumulating possessions to gaining divine insight. If you pursue wisdom above wealth, you'll discover riches in every area that truly matters. Wisdom leads to lasting success, while money without wisdom often leads to ruin. 12th lesson, honor the Lord with your wealth. Proverbs 3:9-10 teaches, "Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine." God calls us to put him first in our finances by offering the best and first portion of our income. This isn't just about money, it's about recognizing that everything we have comes from him. Giving first fruits reflects a heart of gratitude and faith, declaring our trust in his continued provision. When we honor God with our resources, we position ourselves for his blessing and abundance. This principle transforms our relationship with money from anxiety-driven hoarding to faith-filled generosity. God delights in blessing those who honor him with their substance. 13th lesson, laziness leads to poverty. Proverbs 6:10-11 warns, "Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that travelleth, and thy want as an armed man." This proverb illustrates how gradually laziness brings ruin. It begins subtly, just a little extra sleep, a little delay, a little comfort-seeking. But over time, these small compromises open the door to lack and hardship. Poverty doesn't always strike suddenly. It often creeps in quietly when diligence is neglected. The imagery of poverty coming like a traveler or armed robber shows how loss arrives when we least expect it. God values diligence and faithful stewardship. Success requires intentional effort, wise time management, and consistent work habits. 14th lesson, a cheerful heart is good medicine. Proverbs 17:22 states, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones." Your emotional and spiritual state directly affects your physical well-being. A cheerful heart filled with gratitude, joy, and hope brings healing and strength, just like good medicine. But a broken, discouraged spirit drains energy and weakens both body and soul. This proverb reminds us to guard our joy and choose to focus on what is good, even during difficult circumstances. True joy isn't superficial happiness. It comes from trusting God, regardless of circumstances. When we walk with him, our hearts can remain joyful despite external challenges, and that joy becomes a healing presence for ourselves and others. 15th lesson, humility precedes honor. Proverbs 18:12 teaches, "Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, and before honor is humility." This reveals a fundamental spiritual law. Pride leads to downfall, while humility prepares the way for honor. A proud heart resists correction, trusts in self, and seeks recognition, ultimately leading to ruin. But humility invites God's grace, makes us teachable, and creates space for divine favor. Jesus taught that those who humble themselves will be exalted. In God's kingdom, the way up is down. When we choose humility in our words, responses, and leadership, God lifts us up. Daily humility protects us from pride's destructive consequences and positions us for God's blessing. 16th lesson, the righteous think before speaking. Proverbs 15:28 declares, "The heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things." Wise people pause and consider their words before speaking. This verse contrasts the thoughtful communication of the righteous with the impulsive, harmful speech of the wicked. The righteous study their response. They reflect, pray, and seek wisdom before answering. Their words are deliberate, careful, and constructive. The wicked pour out evil without restraint, speaking harshly, dishonestly, or destructively. Our words reveal the condition of our hearts. When we allow God's Spirit to shape our thoughts and responses, our speech becomes a channel of grace, truth, and healing to everyone who hears. 17th lesson, don't be wise in your own eyes. Proverbs 3:7 warns, "Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil." Self-conceit is spiritually dangerous. Thinking too highly of our own wisdom closes our hearts to God's truth and correction. This verse calls us to humility and reverence. We must not lean on our own understanding, but acknowledge God's superior perspective. Pride whispers, "I know best," but wisdom says, "God knows better." The fear of the Lord leads to surrender, and surrender leads to freedom from the deception of self-reliance. When we trust God's perspective over our own limited understanding, we walk in righteousness and avoid the snares of pride. 18th lesson, a faithful friend loves at all times. Proverbs 17:17 states, "A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." True friendship is constant, not conditional. This verse reveals the nature of authentic love. It remains loyal in joy and sorrow, success and struggle. A faithful friend doesn't disappear when life gets difficult, but stands with you through every season. Such friendship reflects Christ's love for us. In a world of shallow connections and fair-weather relationships, this kind of loyalty is rare and precious. God calls us to be this type of friend to others and to seek these relationships for ourselves. Genuine friendships, built on commitment rather than convenience, are among life's greatest treasures. 19th lesson, self-control is true strength. Proverbs 16:32 teaches, "He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city." Real strength isn't found in conquering others, but in mastering yourself. The world admires physical power and external achievements, but God values self-control and emotional maturity. Being slow to anger demonstrates patience, wisdom, and spiritual strength. Ruling your spirit means mastering pride, anger, and selfish impulses. Anyone can explode in anger, but it takes deep wisdom and divine grace to remain calm under pressure. This kind of strength comes from walking with God and yielding to His Spirit. True power lies not in dominating others, but in controlling yourself through God's grace. 20th lesson, speak life and encouragement. Proverbs 12:18 declares, "There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health." Words can wound deeply or bring healing. While careless speech cuts like a sword, wise words restore and encourage. This proverb highlights the redemptive power of speaking with wisdom and love. A gentle, timely word can soothe anxiety, inspire courage, and breathe life into discouraged hearts. God calls us to be people whose speech builds others up rather than tears them down. Just as medicine strengthens the body, wise counsel strengthens the soul. Choose your words carefully and speak with intention, allowing your speech to be guided by truth and love. 21st lesson, the righteous are bold as lions. Proverbs 28:1 states, "The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion." Guilt produces fear and insecurity, but righteousness gives courage and confidence. The wicked often live in fear, even without visible threats, because their consciences are burdened. But those who live with integrity before God walk in boldness. Their confidence doesn't come from pride, but from peace with God and a clear conscience. When you live honestly and walk in God's ways, you have nothing to hide and nothing to fear. You can stand firm, speak truth, and face challenges with unshakable faith. True boldness flows from a pure heart and right standing with God. 22nd lesson, don't envy sinners. Proverbs 23:17 warns, "Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long." It's tempting to look at the apparent prosperity of those who reject God and wonder why they seem successful. But this verse calls us to keep our focus on what truly matters, walking in reverence before the Lord. Envy blinds us to the temporary nature of worldly success and breeds discontent in our hearts. The fear of the Lord leads to lasting peace, purpose, and eternal rewards. Instead of comparing your life to others, trust that God sees your faithfulness and will reward it in His perfect timing. Keep your eyes on eternity, not on temporary gains. 23rd lesson, patience brings peace. Proverbs 19:11 teaches, "The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression." Patience is a mark of wisdom and strength, not weakness. This verse shows that the ability to delay anger and overlook offenses is honorable and glorious. When someone wrongs us, the natural reaction is to retaliate immediately. But wisdom gives us the ability to pause, reflect, and often choose forgiveness over revenge. Overlooking transgressions doesn't mean ignoring serious wrongdoing, but choosing grace over grudges in daily interactions. This patience reflects God's character and brings healing to relationships. Those who can restrain their emotions and show mercy walk in true strength. 24th lesson, avoid foolish arguments. Proverbs 26:4 states, "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him." Not every battle is worth fighting. This verse teaches discernment in choosing our conversations and conflicts. Engaging in foolish arguments can drag you down to the level of those acting unwisely. Sometimes silence is wiser than response. Responding to foolishness with more foolishness only escalates conflict without resolution. Wisdom knows when to speak and when to remain quiet. Protect your peace and testimony by avoiding debates that lead nowhere. Let your life speak louder than your arguments, and choose your words carefully to reflect God's wisdom. 25th lesson, God sees the heart. Proverbs 21:2 declares, "Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts." People often justify their actions and believe they're righteous, but God looks deeper than external behavior. He examines motives, desires, and intentions. This verse reminds us not to trust in our own self-righteousness or rely on human approval. We may deceive others and even ourselves, but never the Lord. True wisdom requires honest self-examination and surrender to God's standards. Instead of living to appear right before people, focus on being right before God. A heart that seeks truth and purity will always find grace and favor with the Almighty. 26th lesson, laziness brings hardship. Proverbs 15:19 teaches, "The way of the slothful man is as an hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain." Laziness may seem like an easy path, but it actually creates more obstacles and difficulties. A lazy person's life becomes entangled with problems, missed opportunities, and constant struggles, like walking through a hedge of thorns. In contrast, those who live righteously and work diligently find that God smooths their path. Their way may not be without challenges, but it's clear and directed by divine wisdom. This proverb encourages diligence, purpose, and faithful work. The more we live with intention and effort, the more God removes obstacles and opens doors. 27th lesson. Kind words refresh the soul. Proverbs 16:24 states, "Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones." Kind, encouraging words have profound impact on people's emotional and physical well-being. Like honey, pleasant words bring sweetness and nourishment to the soul. They can heal emotional wounds, restore hope, and strengthen relationships. This proverb challenges us to be intentional about speaking words that bless, encourage, and build up others. In a world filled with criticism and harsh speech, kind words stand out like medicine. Make it your goal to speak words that refresh and heal rather than words that wound and discourage. 28th lesson. Seek wise counsel. Proverbs 11:14 declares, "Where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors there is safety." Making important decisions alone is dangerous. This verse emphasizes the importance of seeking advice from wise, godly people before making major choices. Pride wants to figure everything out independently, but wisdom seeks input from those with experience and spiritual maturity. Multiple counselors provide different perspectives, help identify blind spots, and offer protection from costly mistakes. The safety mentioned here isn't just physical, but emotional, financial, and spiritual protection. Surround yourself with wise advisors and listen carefully to their counsel, especially in crucial life decisions. 29th lesson. Integrity guides the upright. Proverbs 11:3 teaches, "The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them." Integrity acts as an internal compass, guiding those who live uprightly through life's complexities. When you consistently choose honesty and righteousness, these character qualities become your guide in difficult situations. Your conscience remains clear, and your path stays straight. Conversely, those who live perversely, with dishonesty and corruption, are eventually destroyed by their own choices. Integrity doesn't just please God, it protects you from the consequences of deceit and builds trust with others. Let truthfulness and uprightness be your guide in every decision, large and small. 30th lesson. A heart at peace gives life. Proverbs 14:30 states, "A sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones." A contentment and peace bring health and vitality, while envy and jealousy destroy from within. This proverb warns that jealousy doesn't just damage relationships, it corrodes your soul and affects your physical well-being. Envy focuses on what others have, distorting your vision and stealing your joy. A peaceful, content heart is full of life and gratitude. God calls us to trust His timing and provision rather than comparing ourselves to others. True satisfaction comes not from having more than others, but from appreciating what God has already given you. 31st lesson. Give generously and prosper. Proverbs 11:25 declares, "The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself." Generosity creates a cycle of blessing. Those who give freely and help others will themselves be blessed and provided for. This principle challenges the world's scarcity mindset that hoards resources out of fear. God promises that when we water others through our generosity, kindness, and service, we ourselves will be watered. This isn't just about money, but about sharing our time, talents, and love. Generous people don't become poor. They become channels of God's abundance. Give freely, knowing that God will ensure you have what you need to continue giving. 32nd lesson, better is little with righteousness. Proverbs 16:8 teaches, better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. It's better to have modest means with integrity than great wealth gained through dishonesty or corruption. This verse challenges our culture's pursuit of success at any cost. True prosperity includes peace of mind, clear conscience, and God's blessing, things that money gained wrongly cannot provide. Righteousness brings contentment and security that wealth without integrity cannot match. Choose character over cash, honesty over riches, and righteousness over revenues. God honors those who choose His ways over worldly gain, and His blessing makes truly rich. 33rd lesson, train up a child properly. Proverbs 22:6 states, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. This verse emphasizes the lasting impact of proper childhood training and education. Parents and mentors have the responsibility to guide children in godly principles, character development, and wisdom. The training mentioned here isn't just rules and discipline, but modeling righteousness and teaching life skills. When children are properly trained in God's ways, these lessons create a foundation that influences their entire lives. Even if they stray in youth, the seeds of truth planted early often bear fruit in maturity. Invest in training the next generation with patience, love, and biblical wisdom. 34th lesson, a gentle spirit attracts honor. Proverbs 25:15 declares, by long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone. Patience and gentle speech have remarkable power to influence others and overcome resistance. This proverb teaches that persistence combined with kindness can persuade even the most difficult people. A soft tongue, gentle, respectful speech can break through the hardest opposition more effectively than force or harsh words. Long forbearing means patient endurance without giving up or becoming bitter. This approach reflects God's character and often wins hearts that aggression cannot reach. Choose patience over pressure and gentleness over force when dealing with difficult people or situations. 35th lesson, don't rejoice in others' troubles. Proverbs 24:17-18 warns, rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth, lest the Lord see it, and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Even when those who have wronged us face consequences, we shouldn't celebrate their misfortune. This verse reveals God's heart of mercy and calls us to reflect His character. Rejoicing in others' pain, even our enemies, displeases God and may actually cause Him to show mercy to them instead of justice. This doesn't mean we can't feel relief when justice is served, but we shouldn't take pleasure in others' suffering. Cultivate a heart of mercy that hopes for redemption rather than destruction, even for those who have hurt you. 36th lesson. A wise woman builds her house. Proverbs 14:1 teaches, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. This principle applies beyond gender to anyone responsible for creating a home environment. Building your house means nurturing it with love, wisdom, patience, and grace. A wise person strengthens family relationships through encouragement, forgiveness, and selfless service. Conversely, the foolish tear down their home through anger, selfishness, criticism, or neglect. Your words, attitudes, and daily choices either build up or tear down your home environment. Choose to be a builder who creates an atmosphere of love, peace, and growth, rather than one who destroys through negative words and actions. 37th lesson. Work brings satisfaction. Proverbs 14:23 states, In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. Honest work, regardless of the type, produces profit and satisfaction. This verse contrasts productive labor with empty talk. While work creates value and provides for needs, mere talking without action leads to poverty. This doesn't diminish the value of communication, but emphasizes that words without corresponding work are worthless. God designed us to find fulfillment through productive activity. Whatever work you do, approach it with diligence and excellence. Hard work honors God, provides for your needs, and brings a sense of accomplishment that empty words cannot match. 38th lesson. Knowledge comes through instruction. Proverbs 1:2-3 declares, "To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity." Wisdom isn't automatic. It comes through deliberate learning and instruction. This passage from Proverbs' introduction shows that gaining wisdom requires actively receiving teaching about justice, judgment, and equity. We must pursue understanding intentionally, not passively hope it will come. True education involves both learning facts and developing character. Seek out wise teachers, read God's Word regularly, and remain teachable throughout your life. The investment you make in learning and instruction will pay dividends in every area of your life. 39th lesson. A false balance is an abomination. Proverbs 11:1 states, "A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." God demands honesty and integrity in all our dealings, including business transactions. In ancient times, merchants used scales with weights to measure goods. Dishonest ones used false weights to cheat customers. Today, this principle applies to any form of deception: false advertising, cheating on taxes, or taking credit for others' work. God sees how we treat others in every transaction and relationship. Honesty builds trust, reflects God's character, and invites His blessing. Whether in small daily interactions or major business deals, let integrity guide every decision. 40th lesson. Correct your children with love. Proverbs 13:24 teaches, "He that spareth his rod hateth his child, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes." Proper discipline is an expression of love, not anger. This verse doesn't advocate abuse, but emphasizes the importance of correcting children when they do wrong. Parents who fail to discipline actually harm their children by allowing destructive patterns to develop. True love includes setting boundaries, teaching consequences, and guiding children toward righteousness. The discipline mentioned here should be measured, purposeful, and aimed at character development, not emotional release. Children need both love and limits to develop properly. Discipline, administered with consistency and compassion, demonstrates genuine care for a child's future. 41st lesson. The steps of the righteous are ordered by God. Proverbs 20:24 declares, "Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way?" This final lesson reminds us that God sovereignly guides the steps of those who walk with Him. We may not always understand the path we're on or see the purpose in our circumstances, but we can trust that God is directing our journey. Human understanding is limited, but God's perspective is perfect. This verse encourages humility and faith, especially when life doesn't make sense. Instead of demanding to understand everything, rest in the knowledge that a loving, all-wise God is orchestrating your steps for your good and His glory. Trust His leading even when the way seems unclear. The book of Proverbs is more than ancient wisdom. It's God's practical guide for living a successful, meaningful life. These 41 lessons reveal that true success isn't measured by wealth, fame, or power, but by character, wisdom, and relationship with God. Each principle we've studied offers a pathway to better relationships, wiser decisions, and deeper peace. Solomon's wisdom transcends time because it comes from the eternal God who created us and knows what we need to flourish. Whether you're facing challenges in your relationships, career, finances, or personal growth, these proverbs provide clear direction and hope. The key is application. Knowledge becomes wisdom only when it's lived out daily. Start with one principle that spoke to your heart and begin implementing it immediately. As you practice these truths, you'll discover that God's wisdom works. It brings the life, peace, and success He promises. Remember Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting get understanding. Make wisdom your highest pursuit, and watch as God transforms your life from ordinary to extraordinary. May these timeless truths guide your steps, guard your heart, and give you the abundant life God desires for you. The fear of the Lord is indeed the beginning of wisdom. Start there, and let His truth light your path every day.